Hi, everybody, and welcome back to NextGenMFG. I'm your host, Nush, and today I'm joined by Isabel. Before I let her introduce herself, I want to say thank you to Greg from CMMS Radio for sending me a mic. This isn't actually that mic. I'm recording from my parents' house right now, but I will be using that when I get back home. So thank you so much for that mic. And yeah, let's get back into the show. This podcast is for highlighting young people in the skilled trades industry or pursuing technical careers. So today with me I have Isabel, and I met Isabel from Instagram, kind of through Real Deal Revolution, kind of through me just following her because I saw her. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm 22. I'm from Southern California, and currently I'm an automotive and welding technical student. And actually, I'm lucky enough that my local community colleges offers those programs, and they offer a bachelor's program as well. So that's currently what I am achieving.
So you go working towards your bachelor's degree then?
Yeah, my bachelor's in automotive technology.
Yeah, I noticed because you sent me a little resume, not a resume. You sent me a little description of yourself, and I noticed automotive and welding. How is being dual enrolled in those classes? How does that work?
It's hard. So right now I'm doing 19 and a half units.
What
Yeah,
does units mean? I didn't go to community college or college for
like
that matter.
credits,
So
19 and a half credits. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm doing like five classes a semester right now, and they're all labs.
oh my
Yeah.
god, oh my god, how do you even have time for me right now? Thank you for making time for me. You're also Pilates instructor.
Yeah.
So you wear a lot of different hats. How did you get into that?
Yeah, it's funny. People ask me that all the time. So I grew up around cars. Honestly, I never knew what I wanted to do when I was out of high school. I was not very school orientated, I guess. Wasn't really my thing. So originally I was a marketing major. I graduated in high school in 2020. And I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, I cannot do marketing to save my, like, it was online. I am learning nothing through like the computer. This is not how I work. So I actually took a pause for a while. I was a sales membership advisor for a Pilates studio, and I loved the connection people had with their clientele. So I was like, this seems pretty fun. They seem pretty happy. Like I heard they're doing good for like their age. Like let's get certified. So I went and got certified. I've been teaching for about 3.5 years, and I've been with the company for 4 years now, and I love it. It's just not my like forever passion, but I just love talking to people, and it honestly pays for my college, so it works real well. So it's funny, my Pilates and my trade skills actually don't really have it intertwined too much together. It's just two sides of me I really love. And I honestly just really love learning. So last year, I was like, you know what, it's time for me to go back to school, time to get my degree. And I was tossing between nursing because I'm also an esthetician, so I can go into like medical aesthetics. But I was like, I couldn't find the drive to go and sign up for the classes. And finally, one day, my dad and I were leaving the Pomona drag races. And he said this to my mom, who she then relayed to me. He's like, I've never seen someone look at engines the way I do, except for Isabel. And that's coming from a mechanic. And after talking with them, we kind of decided, like, this could be my real career. I can actually make a living off of this and go really far. So that summer, I enrolled in classes, and I've just been jam packed ever since.
And when was that? What year was that?
So summer of 2023 is when I enrolled.
So you've had that passion for a little while, like automotive, motorsport. How was that growing up with that passion?
It was definitely really interesting. So when people ask me, what are your parents like? And I'm like, well, my dad raced cars and my mom liked skydive. So I was like, extreme sports is around my life the entire time. So I started
Hold on a
talking.
second. Can we
Yeah.
just real quickly talk about your mom real quick? I think your dad's really cool, but wait a minute. What?
Yeah. So like she like would bungee jump and skydive, and she was like the first one on the track with like cookies for all the drivers. Like she was into it just as much as like my dad was, which is super awesome. Like she's like would go to every race. Like she's that's the kind of wife I want to be. Like I want to be there for like everything. So it's super awesome. They're like the best power couple I've ever met.
That's a really great role model to have. And it definitely shaped your career a lot, it seems like. And then how come you chose welding?
So honestly, A lot of mechanics don't fabricate their own work because it's just really hard. It's a skill. And this might sound really dumb. I started welding in spite of an ex. So I was like, if he could do it, I could do it. And I started taking like, wait, I love this. I'm actually kind of good at this. And my professor like, you're gonna go far in this if you like keep going through. So I'm like, let's do it. And I'm in my like fourth semester right now. I graduate next semester with my welding degree, and I'm so excited.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Almost everything I've done for my career has been out of spite. Like, yes, I like cars because I like cars, but then when somebody told me like, "Oh, you can't really do that for a career," okay, that's why I enrolled in automotive school. And then at some point, I was like really interested in making my own car parts. And then somebody was like, "Oh, you could technically CNC machine them, but you probably can't do that." I took that to heart. I said bet, and then I got a job making like, valves for performance cars. And so I think it's funny because like I feel like a lot of women got into this trade out of spite because a man or a woman or a parent or something said that they can't do it. I want to talk more about community college because I've been interested in going back to
Yeah.
school, and I think it's part of my language. I think it's crazy that you're taking that many classes and then working. Props to you for that. Could you talk about how your welding classes are? Do you get certified at the end of them?
So you can choose a certification or a degree. Technically, the degree also counts towards a certification. So I would be receiving both at graduation. The only
Mm-hmm.
difference the degree has is like you took general eds. So it's like you took all your math and history, whereas the certificate, you don't need those. So right now, I am enrolled in two of our classes. One of them is our metallurgy class, which honestly is the most humbling class I've taken. And then I'm taking our TIG class, which TIG was super hard for me at first. And then like after like 2 or 3 weeks, like my teacher and I had a breakthrough and it just like clicked. Let's move on to aluminum now. And like I've been struggling with aluminum. I'm just not getting it. I had like 5 people at once. Try this setting, try this setting, try this setting. Nothing's working. And then finally I realized like I was using a 1/16 electrode and like switched to 332. It's gonna be so much easier. That breakthrough happened again yesterday. So that's what I'm doing.
Just kind of figuring yourself out, figuring stuff out. Are you the only girl in your class?
No, actually in this class we have 3 girls. Yeah. Our welding program is way larger than our automotive program, which is like a lot of people are, we actually ran out of women's lockers at our welding program. And my teacher was so excited. He was like, finally it's happening. He was like, bummer we ran out of lockers, but we need more lockers. Like we're having more girls. And he actually wants me to speak for our program to get more girls involved. But I want to say we have around at least 10 girls in the program overall, but we have about 3 girls per class. And honestly, my teachers, what I love about them is they all come from very different backgrounds. So it's like I get different advice from each one. So my metallurgy professor, he was a welder for the Air Force. And so he's much more that stern kind of dad, like tough love for sure. Like if I want to be criticized, I'll go to him and he'll be like, don't even show this to me. And then my other one, he was a welder for SpaceX. So I'm getting like the toughness emotionally from one, and I'm getting the toughness on specifications from the other because he's holding us to aerospace standards. We have to give him 3 code passing welds before we can move on. So they plan to have us all get certified as either certified welders or certified welding inspectors. We are a testing school, so people can get their certifications through our school. So they are like on it with us. They want to make sure we don't go out into the field not knowing what we're doing. They're ready for us to go straight into the workforce and make good money.
What's so important for students, I feel like, is that connection with your instructors because they have so much real world industry experience that we're literally training ourselves for. So speaking of training ourselves for that experience, what is your dream job or like what's your goal with your schooling? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, so super tip of the iceberg is like ever since I was really little, my dream was to race drag car. Watching Erica Enders and all the Force daughters, I'm like, I want to be in a race car. And especially with my dad being a drag mechanic, I'd say we weren't financial enough for me to race junior dragsters or for him to buy me a car. but it always had me like involved one way or another. So like now as an adult, he was like, all right, hustle, make your money, get your sponsors, like you have social media behind you, like you can do it. And he's still like willing to help out. He was like, hey, you have a full mechanic right here who's like ready to help out. So that's the dream, is I want to race cars.
Your dad is literally the perfect role model. Oh my god, he's such
He's
a
my best
sweetheart.
friend. We actually sometimes he'll take the welding classes with me during the summer, and like we'll go head to head. Like we're like, all right, who's gonna get the highest score out of here? Because he's a welding inspector. He's like the best girl dad ever. So like when I was at SEMA, since we are a 16 over event at SEMA, a lot of the dads would come to the Real Deal booth and like, my daughter's into this. We're like, girl dads. We're like, yes, we love the girl dads. We'll give them like a bunch of free merch to take to their daughters. We're like, here's backpacks and here's shirts and pins and stickers. Like we want your daughters involved, and we tell them like, hey, when your daughters become old enough, have them apply for scholarships so they can do this. Like if that's a hobby, if that's a job, whatnot, like we want all the girls to be involved.
Could you talk to me about the Real Deal Revolution and could you explain to me what they are?
So let's start. I'm gonna throw you for another little spin. So I used to do pageants back in high school, and recently I received a automotive scholarship from one of our local Chevrolet dealers. And like, hey, we want you to come apply for our local pageant that we have in the city. You can do some automotive stuff for your talent. You'd be a perfect fit. Like no one's gonna have a background like you do. And they want us to have a platform that we support. And mine is Women in the Trades. But I was like, let's take that step further. How about I pick a foundation I want to work with? And I found out about Real Deal Revolution when I started teaching Pilates. My client, her stepdaughter is the co-owner, Teresa Contreras, and she was like, you need to follow this account. You need to follow like these shops. It's like her shop, Baja Forged. And she's like, you need to go watch the Jesse Combs movie, Fastest Woman on Earth. And I was like, done, done, done. And so after watching that movie and sobbing every single time I watched it, it's been like 10 times, I was like, why not talk to Real Deal? So I sent Teresa an email and I'm just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is who I am. I want to help you guys out any way I could. And luckily, a month later, they're having an event in one of my local cities. And they're like, pop out if you want to come, like, help out. And so I was like, yeah, I'm down for sure to see what you guys do. So we were at the Long Beach Belmont Car Show, and they were hosting pinstriping and leatherworking events. And I pretty much got to talk about what we do. So, Real Deal Revolution, we are a nonprofit organization, and we're all about getting tools in people's hands. Mainly women and their jobs in the trades, but we're open to teach anyone and everyone. My favorite part though is our workshops are only taught by a woman. So that's I think the coolest thing is a lot like at SEAM, like I said, a lot of the dads were coming by and like, oh, what are these workshops? Like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, we have Riley Rebuilds, who's 19, who kicks butt, who's teaching carburetor rebuilds today. And they're like, what? And like, yeah. Or some dads were like, oh my god, I follow her on Instagram. She's so cool. And we have to come watch her. And like my professor the same way, like, oh my god, she knows so much. She's so awesome. So, we had people like her teaching classes to everyone. And what I loved is I went to SEMA actually under the student program, which I honestly thought was a great idea because I was sitting around a bunch of girls who were there, and I'm like, hey guys, come to my booth. We're having workshops here. Do you guys want to learn how to like pinstripe and make automotive jewelry? And like, you guys do that here? I'm like, yeah. And so all these girls came and like, look, here are scholarships to apply to. So I like to kind of say Real Deal is almost like a sister foundation of the Jesse Combs Foundation, because since we were co-founded by Jesse Combs, and we would just work alongside together. We all call ourselves Jesse Girls. So I always tell people who are like doing workshops, I'm like, hey, awesome. You have the tools in your hand. You like it. To afford those tools, apply for the scholarship. Like that's how you can get into those programs. That's how you can afford school is through the scholarship. So yeah, it's just a really awesome foundation. So I got to work with them at SEMA. I was pretty much there like almost all day, every day with them. And we taught different workshops each day. I think we all cried at least once every day just because we would all talk about Jessie and we'd all get like goosebumps and just like, it just shows like, even though she's gone, she still brought all of us here together. And that's the best part.
Scholarships is what paid my whole education, like for automotive. I wouldn't have gone if I hadn't had scholarships to be on. My next question was, do you have any mentors and role models? And I can already guess that two of them are your father and Jesse. So do you have any more role models?
Yeah. Honestly, just like growing up, like all the girls that race drag racing, like always touched me super hard. I'm actually writing right now a paper on, getting women into the trades for the pageant. And I remember Courtney Forrest, John Forrest's daughter, she had Taylor Swift's album wrapped on her car. And I was like, she has a Taylor Swift album. Like, who is it? Like, girls doing girl things in a male's field, you know? So it's like any of them, like any of the Forrest daughters, Alexis Joria, Alexis and I actually cried together drag races a couple years back. So I was telling her, since her dad, John, was, he owns John Paul and all that, Paul Mitchell. And I was like, hey, you're a girl who embraces being a girl, who's still involved in racing. I'm like, you're the reason why I feel comfortable going to esthetician school. Like, because my whole base in esthetician school was still being, kind of car automotive kind of based idea. And she like started crying, and she was like, I wish my dad was here so he could talk to you. Just because like girls being able to be girls. There's a stigma of, usually when girls are either tomboys or, they have like this more masculine look to them. I'm like, girls can just be girly girls, in the trades. That's not gonna change anything.
So far, everything I've been hearing has been so impressive, and I'm gonna be honest. After reading your story and hearing your story, I was like, oh, I'm behind, because everything you were saying, I was like, I want that. But then I literally read your email when it says you're not behind, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and I was like, she's right. I am where I'm supposed to be, helping other people. So that, first of all, that was beautiful, that advice part. Like, I stopped and I was like, dang, I should really take a second, because I'm gonna be talking to people who are as cool as you and doing stuff like that, and I gotta like not compare,
And like, I feel behind. Like, that's what everyone tells me. It's just like, just because I didn't follow the traditional college route, it's like I ran into like my old classmates like in the neighborhood, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, how's it going? Have you graduated yet? I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what about you? Like, yeah, we just graduated from Harvard. So it's like hearing like seeing people like all graduate, like, get their diplomas and all that. I felt so behind, or like all like the like sorority like formals and all that stuff. Seeing people do that, I'm just like feel so behind. And it's really at SEMA when I realized I'm not. And a bunch of the girls from like the Real Deal booth, and then I don't know if you're familiar with Girly Garage, she was like, I fell behind at your age, and I'm not. She said, you're not behind. And I talked to, so at SEMA, and Joe, Stephanie, and then Anne Strong Brown, they had a booth. I was talking to Anne Joe. I'm like, look, I want to get into drag racing. I'm like, I'm 22 that already. I'm like, most of these kids start, in junior dragsters when like 6 years old. I'm like, I'm behind. And she was like, I didn't start racing, pro stock. She's like, till I was 26. And she's like, and I'm racing top fuel for the first time at like 54. She's like, you are not behind. And I'm like, that is so real. I'm like, that feels so reassuring to hear, is when someone that I grew up watching on TV is like, no, you're not behind. Okay. Sorry, I keep like doing detours on this, but I was talking to some of the guys from Engine Power TV, and same thing, I was telling them this, and we realized it's because people our age, we surround ourselves with people that are older than us who are so successful. So we're like, why don't I have what he has and she has and what they have? Oh wait, because they're 45 years old and are making $200,000-300,000 a year. They're on TV. That's why we feel behind. We're not behind. It's just they're really just older than us and have the experience. So that's what I remind ourselves is we want to surround ourselves with people that are successful, but we don't want to compare ourselves to those people.
Yeah, and like the people we see on TikTok and Instagram, we have to remind ourselves, first of all, they post after editing and looking through all of that stuff, and then two, a lot of them that have that following and that backing, they probably also have a fat wallet. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Exactly. But a part of the reason why I made this podcast is because when I was going on other podcasts and being interviewed, I was like, oh, these people are very successful, and it is a little bit daunting to be talking to somebody. It's so hard to talk to them and like tell them your story, because it's like they're made it, they're CEOs, they're business owners, and that's why I feel like a lot of people that I kept trying to get connected with these hosts didn't want to do the podcast, because they felt like they were imposters or something like that, because I definitely felt like that. And when I was at IMTS this past year, I had two main stage moments that day or that week. And then basically it's when, you know, you're on the main stage and you're talking with usually a couple other panelists. So I'm like very out of place. I'm literally just a kid who like somehow made her way into the industry. You know, I was like, I'm literally an imposter. I was like, what's going on? I don't know what to say to seem like I know what I'm talking about, because I didn't. I was lost as. But I'm hoping that my podcast is going to be a platform where people feel comfortable to talk about stuff that they know, you know? And yeah, tangent aside, that's what I was trying to say. Okay, wait. I'm kind of curious about when you say you're like certified esthetician, does that mean eyebrows, eyelashes, like all that stuff?
Yeah, like the facials, the waxing. Yeah, so I'm state licensed. Yeah,
That's that's
it's
so
so fun. I love
cool.
it.
Um,
Yeah, I just don't have the time.
yeah, I bet.
Yep.
And it's a
Yeah.
lot. Like if you think about it, okay, okay, Jesus, my tangents are kind of crazy.
Mine too, girl.
Thank goodness we're on the same page.
The ADD is going so hard right now.
Right? It always. I don't even have
Yeah.
ADHD or anything like that. I'm just like spazzed. But I really wanted to also talk to people who are in like the cosmetology beauty industry as well, because I don't want to just close off my podcast to just be the trades and make it seem like that's all I interview. I don't just interview people in the trades, and I don't just interview women, even though all of my episodes are with women so far. Cosmetology is a really good path to go down as well. You know, you could own your own business after getting certified and work from home, or, you know, have a side hustle. It's not like you have to go to college for law or marketing or chemistry. No, you could go to school for cosmetology and enjoy that. I kind of wanted to ask you how was your experience getting your esthetician license? How was that journey for you, and what's your favorite part about that?
Yeah, so I definitely admit there's some stereotypical like mean girl trauma, but to be honest, the guys in auto tech are way worse. Like, it's it's so bad. But it's like, there's just definitely some like, jealousy stuff in there. And honestly, when I was in institution school, I was trying to graduate as fast as I can, and we're an hours-based program. So I was going to school from pretty much noon to 10 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, and I'd go there Saturday mornings. And we make tips too. So I'm like, look, I'm taking time off work right now. So my tips I'm getting working on like clients, I'm like, this is my income right now. So I was hustling. But it's like the thing is, I'm paying a lot of money to be here. I'm like, I just want to get out of here, get my stuff, and be like done. Like that's all. I'm not, here to play for a long time because luckily with my schedule, I was able to make that work. I know that's not accessible for everyone. Some people it takes them 6 to 9 months. I got it done in 4, just because I spent so much time there. I basically was like living there. But overall, it was like really fun. Like, it's like my one of my professors or my instructors, like she worked for Ola Hendrickson in LA, and like she would do Britney Spears facials. And so it's like, again, learning from instructors that have different backgrounds was really cool. Like, hey, she worked with A-list celebrities. Like, she's like, giving us that kind of advice. We had this like, her name was Miss Tina. She was adorable. She actually worked in hair, but she still like mentored us, even though we were just skin. But all the instructors were like super awesome. The support from the staff like was awesome. Just there was a lot of drive there, and they give you so many opportunities. Like pretty much what they do is they put you on a list, and they will text you every single time there's a job opening nearby, and they'll be like, "All right, who wants it? Like it's yours." Like this person walked in and said, "We need an assistant. We need an esthetician. We need a waxer. Like apply." So they just set you up very well when you get out of school.
How different is the dynamic being in a mainly women dominated class to a mainly male dominated class? So like cosmetology to automotive, how like
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, like the men are just as bad, if not like worse than like the girls in like beauty school, just because like they tend to get very like I don't want to say offended, but it's like I remember my first class I took was my electrical class, Professor, he was a Chevy tech. Like he taught us like the ropes. Like I learned so much from him, and it's like a puzzle to me. That's why I like electrical. It's like a giant puzzle, and like I will not leave until I have like my shit figured out. Like if I know what is wrong, like, I won't leave until I diagnose it. And like this, my partner, he's like, "Why do you care so much? Like, why do you want to? No, we can just deal with this next week." I'm like, "Well, honestly, next week I'll probably forget by the time we get there." And like second of all, like this is what I have a passion for. Like I want to be in the field and know what I'm doing. And I think with him, it's like he just wanted to like be an EMT. Like he was just there because he wanted to like work on his car for free. And so he was just like, I don't care why you care so much. I'm like, honestly, dude, you can leave. Like you don't have to be here if you don't want to. I'm like, I'm just here because I just want to figure this out. And there's like a lot of intimidation that was going on there. And like my professors on both the cosmetology side, or esthetician side, and like the auto side both kind of see my work ethic. So it's like, even those two different trades, they both have the same support for me because like they know I come in and I hustle, get my work done. So it's like I get love from both sides. Like they both have the same goal in the end, and that's to prepare our next generation for their fields.
In my experience, women can be very nasty, but men, way nastier. I'd be pulling out my notebook and taking notes. That's how often I'm like stunned by what a man just said. There's no way you thought of that.
The difference is the guys say it to their face, to your face. The girls won't.
Yeah, girls won't say it to your face. They'll say it to their groups or on text, but tech school really like prepared me for working with men, but I'm not gonna lie, the men in the field aren't that bad.
Just like I have to say, like with my first semester of welding, being with the professor who was in the Air Force, like since he taught me tough love, like I have no problem throwing it back at him, and that kind of taught me like with like any of the guys too.
So tech school actually taught me how to have a backbone for real, because I don't know if I'm gonna put this in the podcast because I don't want to talk about him because I kind of already solved this, figured it out. But when I was in high school, okay, when I was in ninth grade, I remember this day like the back of my hand. I was in English class and I had emailed my teacher because I had a problem with one of my papers and I needed help and I was like confused. So I emailed him and I didn't say good morning in the email, which was I guess my fault. He read my email out loud in class in front of our whole class. I mean, he didn't say who it was, but he like tore it apart and he was like, this is so disrespectful. One, you can't just email me and that's how you open up the email. And I understand like it's English class, so like yes, I have to be writing the email correctly, but that's crazy. Like it was the first, I think it was the third day of class. Literally the third day of class. I'm like, freshman year, my third day of class. Are you freaking serious? And I'm already like, as most girls are, I was very anxious.
Yeah, we're insecure at that age.
But yeah, I was like, that fucked me up because after that, I was like, oh shoot, I can't talk to no teacher because they'll do that. They'll embarrass me. I'll be put on the spot. I can't reach out to him. But what's crazy is everybody liked him as a teacher. Everybody loved him. He was a great teacher. He was a nice person. He was cool. He was like one of the ones that would let you, like, if you were too tired one day in class, he would let you go to the office and like take a nap. Like he was a cool teacher. And it hurt me so much that like we couldn't have that relationship because after that moment, I felt like that with every single teacher in high school ever until my automotive teacher. But anyways, I had recently messaged my English teacher like literally 5 years later. It was petty of me to bring it up, but that was a like pivotal moment in my life. Like that changed brain chemistry for me. That made me shut the fuck up completely. So fast forward to being in tech school, now all of a sudden I have to deal with this all the time. Teachers are always going to be doing this. Guys are always going to be doing this. And so, like, if I get butt hurt, I mean, it's going to be very obvious. So I have to throw it back. I got to joke back at them. Tech school definitely taught me how to grow a pair. I have a backbone now. All right. Now, to close us off, what advice would you give to someone in high school or middle school that's interested in your field, whether it's aesthetics or welding and automotive?
Just do it. Don't hesitate. It's I hesitated so many things, and I feel like I could have already been done if I didn't hesitate. So if you find something you even like remotely like, try it out. And that's the whole point of Real Deal is to let people get the tools in their hands find out they like it, and then they can go to school with that. So I just say, don't hesitate, try it out, and then just go for it.
Yeah, and there's resources out there for you to get your feet wet and into the door like a real deal. And I'm sure if you did your research, you could find other ones too.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
say what's hard was my school district, and actually most of the school districts near me, we offer no trade classes. Yeah, so I never had auto tech. We never had wood shop. We actually tore all of our building. We're from Orange County. Like we have like money in this area, but it's because they're pushing STEM so hard. So they tore all those buildings out to put in, 3D printing and computer design, which is awesome. Like we need that, but no one ever got to try those in school. So when my friends and I were in our junior senior year, and like, all right, time for college essay. We don't want to go to college. Like that's not for us. We want to go to the trades, and like we have to do it anyways. Like, right? Can we write about something else? Can we do something like this? Just there's no point in us writing a college essay if we're not going to college. And they're like, no, like our school pushed university so hard that we were never even taught about the trades. We never had those opportunities given to us. I think that's why I was delayed because I'm just like, oh, you guys have like welding and wood shop. Like they took that away decades ago.
So I'm originally from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I don't know if you know about Cambridge, but that's literally hometown of Harvard and MIT. And then Tufts is literally around the corner. Northeastern, Boston University, Boston College. Like, I was expected to go to college. The counselors were like very shocked that all I had on my college pick list was tech schools, and then I had Harvard for and giggles and one other college because everyone's supposed to. It's like tradition that you're supposed to apply to Harvard. So I did that, and yeah, like I only got accepted to tech schools and then one college, but tech school like literally accepts everyone.
But yeah, if I can talk again real quick though about the whole like degrees and stuff, just because the thing I like to tell like a lot of people is like my boyfriend's an aerospace engineer. Like his sister, she went to Columbia for computer science. Like yeah, it's like his whole family's like that. Like and so I'm meeting like his mom's side of the family like for Christmas, and I said, all right, you guys all went to fancy schools, you all have fancy degrees, and I'm like, I had to ask like, do you like see me differently or like lesser than? Simply because I didn't really go to college and I don't have that degree. And it was super eye opening to hear him say it. And honestly, he's like, I'm the first person to say college is a scam. He's like, I only went because my parents made me and they paid for it. He was like, I didn't know what major to pick. My sister just picked the one at the top of the list. And that's how he got his degree. But he was like, said, if I could have not done college and gone the trade route, I would have. He is like, I don't regret it now. I like to tell people, it's like, you're not lesser than. Because I've had people stop talking to me simply because I didn't go to school. So I was really nervous about that. And he was like, no, that's not how I feel whatsoever. So don't worry about that. So that's something I like to tell people. Like, if you come from a family like that, it's like, you're not lesser than just because that's what you choose to do.
Yeah, no. I stopped letting people get to me like because a lot of brown families judge me because I not only did I choose not to go to school, yeah, I went and got my hands dirty. And they're like, "Oh, why the fuck did you pick that?" But then they go and see my face on the articles and they shut the fuck up so fast. Like not to get cocky or anything like that. But anyways, yeah, no, I think it's really important that you don't see yourself as lesser than though because your work ethic speaks for itself. Your work ethic is
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and I'm really honored that you made the time to talk to me today because that's crazy. I did not know that your schedule is that packed. I saw that you said welding and automotive simultaneously, and then it didn't really click in my brain until we talked about it that holy
Yeah.
simultaneously means that much of a course load, girl. You're wild. You're actually wild. But now that I know it's possible,
It's so possible, bro. It is so possible. So my automotive program, I'm actually doing three. My automotive's two separate degrees. Yeah, so automotive, it's chassis and drivetrain, and the other one's like engine emissions. So I'm doing two automotive and the welding. So it's so possible. Like I work Friday through Sunday. Like I'm just in class like during the day. Like that's what I love about my job. It's so flexible. So it's like I can do that. I don't work a 9 to 5. It's an associate's degree, and then I'm transferring to a bachelor's program. So it's like a lot of the trade classes too, like you might know, they're night classes too, like 6 to 9 p.m. So it's like if you do work a 9 to 5, it's super doable to still do like a degree. Like, I have a lot of classmates who are like have families and kids, and like they'll do their stuff. My professor does it, you know. He's a single dad with two daughters. He works full time, then he teaches at night. And so it's like it's so possible. And I want people to know, like, if you really want to, it's doable.
Thank you so much for yapping with me for an hour. Sorry for taking up so much of your time. Thank you for being such a positive light and helping out so many women find education, scholarships, and opportunities with Real Deal. And thank you all for listening. Make sure you connect with Isabel on her LinkedIn. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram. I'll have those in the description. Be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars, leave a comment on what you think. Thank you all for listening.